Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe, and I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Welcome if it is your first time listening. I'm so glad that you're here. Even though we are connecting over a podcast and, we're not literally in the same room, we're not even in a space where we see one another's comments and everything like on other platforms, YouTube or social media or something like that, we are actually connecting on the quantum light field. So I'm really grateful that you're here. I'm also grateful, of course, if you're here and you've been here before or you've been here for a while. It really just makes this world a better place when we come together in whatever way that we do. So I just am actually, this is a shorter episode. I have many that are in queue to be released, but I did actually, I guess last week I didn't put out an episode. And I know I didn't. And so I just, there's something with the energy right now. I think that's the first full week. Maybe I've missed a full week before. It may be the first full week, though, that I've missed since I started this podcast in November of 2016. Long time. And it just felt right. I am busy. I could definitely have fit it in because obviously all of the other weeks of life, I have been busy and super busy. But there is just something going on right now with the energy. And this is something that I'm experiencing. I imagine you are as well. And it's what I'm seeing with my clients and students. So I just wanted to touch base this week and let you know that I do plan to put out another episode. It may be even this week, but I really felt called to touch base today. And so what I want to talk to you about is that if you have been having some intense dreams, which I'm personally having, and I'm having my students and clients report. If you're feeling basically shadow work that's bubbling up, that maybe you thought you did it already, or, it's just a very precious time that we're in. Now, there's a lot of astrological things going on. There is, we're Mercury retrograde, I think Venus retrograde, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a good astrologer, but I do know that stuff is going on. And that is definitely intensifying the energies. That's the right word for it, intensifying the energies. And it is an invitation to be more deeply present in our sovereignty, in who we are allowing ourselves to unfold in our becoming, because I heard someone say recently that we are a becoming, that we're not a being, we're a becoming. I think we're a being as well, but I get the perspective there. And this is a part of the becoming process. So I wanted to hold space with you in that, if that's something you are experiencing. And by the way, if you're like, I don't know if I'm experiencing that, does that mean I'm not spiritual? No, not at all. We ripple through cycles, and there are times when someone is feeling it more intense, and then their neighbor isn't as intense in it, or partner, friend, you know what I mean? Neighbor as in, quote, neighbor. And that's because I assume it's just like any other ecosystem, anything else in nature, that sometimes one is holding the space for the other in a certain way. The thing is, though, there's just, to one degree or another, I'm just seeing students and clients and friends kind of in this intense period. Now, I want to tell you that it's a cycle, and my intuitive read on it is that it's probably just a couple more weeks of this intensity. I can't remember off the top of my head when Venus comes out of retrograde. I know Mercury is going to be in retrograde for like another as I record this, I think it's even 2.5 weeks. It hasn't been that long. But it feels like this intensity will be loosening, lightening in a collective sense in that amount of time. And by the way, I'm a reflector. My human design is reflector. So kind of a part of my job, or the job of my aura, if you will, is to feel into the collective, see where we're going. And then another thing that reflectors do is they actually process what the collective cannot. And so I'm just telling you that so you understand why my intuitive sense of this may be, I may have my finger on the pulse of something. I'm not trying to give myself validation, just, I don't know, it's a little interesting. But that's my genuine sense of it too. And so having said that, I did want to also share a couple of things with you about just something about manifestation and something about moving forward from a time of shadow working, starting with the something about manifesting. And I did write a little bit about this on my newsletter. If you haven't joined, you should, I think. I mean, I would love for you to. And there will be a link. There is a link in the show notes here. And that's a great place. That's a great way for us to really stay in touch. And so I wrote a little something about it on my newsletter. I did actually mention it on, I think, an Instagram story or something like that too. But it bears repeating. You know, the law of repetition is our friend. The law of repetition is like watering the garden. You don't just water it once. You keep giving that water to the soil and to the seed and to the sprout. So manifestation. I actually was reminded of this concept. Actually, it's a quote from Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar. Well, and I think I've heard Daryl say it, but I've also heard Bashar say it while Daryl is channeling Bashar. I just want to make sure I attribute, because I do like the way this is stated. And that is, the language of manifestation is physical action. I was reminded of that. It showed up really, present in my energy while I was teaching at HMI College of Hypnotherapy the other day. Actually, as I record this, it was last night. And because, you can imagine that, and you've probably been there, these students they've been in this place of learning a lot, and they're starting a new career, and they can kind of get to this place where you feel like it's almost like a stasis, like, wait, I've gained a lot of stuff. I don't know how do I do all of it? It's almost like, how do I do all of it once? Or like, how do I continue to move forward? How do I see this begin to manifest? And that's when I was reminded of it I was with the students in that certain position. But this also applies to just anything else we are creating in our life. We have the stage of feeling it, or even the preliminary stage of feeling what we don't want. I don't want this. And then we move to the stage of feeling for it, to envision it, to imagine it, to condition our body and our brain to being able to tolerate the new thing. That's actually what's happening, because, as you know, we don't like change. We're afraid of change. Change is scary. Change is something we're not sure we can survive, whatever that new thing is. If it's not happened before, how can I guarantee I will survive it? So in our envisioning, and people teach about the law of attraction and all that kind of stuff, it's a real thing. And people who aren't spiritual seekers or don't do those kinds of manifestation processes, it's still how things happen. Because we're all just still human. We're still spirit having a human experience. And the human vessel, the human being, body, nervous system, brain, is resistant to change. And so we have this powerful, even drive of homeostasis. Homeostasis is everything stays the same. And we have a window of it where we're gonna allow some movement, some dynamic movement inside that window of homeostasis to more easily occur. But when it's really change, we do need to spend time imagining and conditioning, letting our body and brain and nervous system be okay with what we are going to create. And by the way, the body, brain, nervous system, all of that, it actually doesn't know the difference between it physically happening and it imaginally happening. It's the same. It's a state. So that's one thing to remember as we're worrying or, somewhat ruminating on something that we don't want. And I saw recently a quote, a meme or something that said, worry is a terrible waste of imagination. So this process of envisioning, of imagining, of feelingly experiencing the thing that we are to create, that's important. And if we're receiving downloads about it, we feel like we have our spirit team connection going and they're giving us downloads about it. This would also apply to that. Or with these students of the hypnotherapy college, they're learning a lot of things. So they're soaking things up, which is a way that they are conditioning their bodies, brains, and nervous systems about how to be a hypnotherapist, to be forward, to create, to manifest this. That's an important part of the process, a very important part of the process. But then we also have to move forward on it. We have to start to take the physical action, to do the thing. Because we could sit back with our sponge all full and not wring it out. And we may not feel ready in a manner of speaking. And it actually makes sense why we wouldn't feel ready, or at least we have maybe we don't feel ready at all, or we have some uncertainty about how ready we are. That is natural. We may never feel completely ready. And that once again goes back to the fact that we haven't done it before. And so the brain, nervous system, body is like, we're not ready for this because we've never done it. And that's just not how we do things. So we have to take that step of faith. Sometimes it's a leap. But we definitely need to take the step of moving into it, even if it feels like we're not ready. And if we can reframe that which feels a little scary or a little makes us feel apprehensive, if we can reframe it to excitement and that it's actually exhilarating to be able to, step out. And physical action means anything that is talking to someone, making the appointment, researching the thing, doing the thing, whatever the thing is, start to do it. And moving forward is a safe thing to do because even in our mistakes, we learn something. So my mentor hypnotherapist, her name is Cheryl O'Neill. She's been on the podcast. I live in Los Angeles and she does as well. And she's like, we live in Hollywood. Mistakes aren't a problem because we always get another take, like a mistake. It just means you're going to do another take and you learned something from that take. And that's all right. And so being able to move forward freely and as free as possible, trusting in that process of the envisioning, of the practicing in the energy, we actually have told our body, brain, and nervous system. We've trained it how to do the thing, how to be in the manifestation. But we have to allow the will to move us forward. So, once again, the language of manifestation is physical action. And we will be right back. Easy intuition and meditation, your 30-day roadmap for an empowered life guided from within. It is live now. Only $98. This course is delivered as daily meditations, lessons, and prompts over the course of 30 days, and you have a whole year to access. Now, the intention here is to help you to gain that sovereignty in your consciousness, to be deeply in tuned and attuned to your intuition, and to have that show up in your life. So if you have been feeling bewildered or lost or uninspired, this sense of needing to be on your life's mission, well, it all comes down to you. And meditation is the portal for this. If you have struggled in the past to have a meditation practice that is self-healing and inspiring, or if you are just ready to upgrade and rekindle a deep romance with the universe through your meditation practice, well, this is designed for that. And if you would like to get in touch with your intuition so it can direct your life, whether for the first time or one of the first times or for the 100th time, again, this is for you. This is extremely high value and very affordable, $98. You have access to the first lesson now, and you will get all of the lessons and meditations in a 30-day cycle. If you want to go and check out the information page, you have a sample of the lessons, you have a sample of the meditation, so you can really get the idea of this. We have high quality produced meditations, easy to digest education that is attuning and meditative in and of themselves, lessons on divination, lessons on human design, prompts for journaling, self-inquiry and divination, and for a limited time only, we have bonus healing sessions. If you're listening to this now, you definitely want to check when those healing sessions are coming up. Now, I will tell you, they are very soon, and these are bonus to it. They are group, they are powerful to give us a sense of that upgrade and a sense of community and a sense of witnessing under this container of spirit. So check it out. It's coming up very soon. I can't wait to see you there. Empowered Empath. This is a program designed for the sensitive soul, for the person with that empathic nature. And by the way, that is a healing ability. However, this is a healing ability that you can't turn off. You cannot turn off your empathic nature because it's more than just a psychic or healing ability. It is also how you are designed. So the Empowered Empath is a powerful program that is also gentle, consists of 4 modules with 8 life-altering lessons, 4 aura tuning meditations, and we have bonus group healing and coaching sessions that are coming up really soon. You definitely want to check the show notes so you can see when those are coming up. You have access to it for a whole year. You'll be able to continue to water the garden of your empathic nature. You'll learn how to feel centered and peaceful as a sensitive person, how to use your gifts as a superpower that they are meant to be, and you'll be receiving attunement and healing and new life strategies to live in the power and purpose of your sensitive nature. It's especially tailored for those who want to turn their empathic and sensory overwhelm into intuitive strength. It is immersive yet very gentle program, and it's suitable for all levels of development. And I especially recommend it for those whose human design body graph reveals that they have an undefined emotional solar plexus. So if you are just ready to turn that sensitive sponging into the thing that we really need right now, we need your sensitive genius shining on this planet to be in the high frequency, high functioning of your sensitive superpower. So join Empowered Empath. You have access to the lessons starting right away. Oh, by the way, it's very affordable and even comes with payment plans. Only $177 for all of this content, and you can make a payment plan of 3 months or 6 months. I made it extremely affordable and accessible because I know what it's like to need the help. So if it's your first time of really healing your empathic nature, or you need to do it another time, this is the program for you. I can't wait to see you there. And now back to the show. And now to the piece about shadow work and moving forward, which I think is kind of feeds right into this manifestation thing because we're moving forward with that, right? We're taking physical action. This showed up as a kind of download. I was actually in my own personal spiritual session, meditation and talking to spirit and downloading and all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's really pertinent right now as we are in this kind of intense energetic period, some that is promoted and intensified by the planetary alignments right now. And then I think it's just a collective thing too, what we have been, honestly, we've just as a society been moving through both as if I talk about it like as the United States or the Western world kind of society, and then just a global society as well. We've been going through some things and we're moving toward some things too, but on the individual basis. Shadow work is a valuable part of personal and spiritual development. And the shadow, in case this is the first time where you're just not even clear if I've heard that, I don't really know what people mean by that. Just to give us some background on this. Shadow, actually, it was coined by the psychologist Carl Jung. Swiss psychologist. He's like one of the pioneers in, well, psychoanalysis. He is a contemporary, but also a junior to Freud. He worked with Freud for a bit, then he departed. He actually coined the term synchronicity too. And he also invented and coined extrovert and introvert. He's just a, incredible influence on our psychological models. And I say models, even though it was really only, well, anyway, the point is his mother was very sensitive and psychic, and he worked astrology into his perspective, and yet he's a man of science. So shadow, let's talk about shadow. What is referred to as shadow from Jung, he's talking about basically the unconscious, and that when we are, especially children, and this is the most intense time of this process, and we perceive that there is something about ourselves that would cause us to disconnect from our family, from our parents, our caregivers, to have that disconnect, and for whatever reason we perceive that, our group, because we are, as children, relationally dependent, especially between the ages 0 to 8, and obviously we're still dependent much longer than that, but I'm talking about so biologically dependent. This time period is where we do possibly create some of these things that this shadow. And so basically, if there's something about me that I perceive could cause me to be ostracized from the group, then I put it away where I can't see it and I can't access it. And that away is the shadow. That's very brief and reduced. It's kind of a reductive summary of it, but just as a way to think about it. So when we're talking about doing shadow work in spiritual paradigms, we are talking about opening up that shadow and bringing light to it, finding something that has been put away there and bringing it back into the light as the gold that it truly is, because it's actually a treasure trove. Now, this is uncovering past pain, resolving things that are unresolved, resolving trauma. It's all of that kind of work. Very valuable, necessary. And yet there are ways to do it that we overdo it. And there are ways to do it where we are kind of like not necessarily like we are working with opening up that gold that is in the shadow, and by just moving forward, that we don't actually always have to dive deep and, process the pain. That sometimes just moving forward with confidence, courage, and with, a brightened heart, it just causes that to follow us. Things will follow us out of the shadow. And so in this download that I got the other day, they gave me an image, they as in like spirit, my spirit team. And the image was that as one is standing on the earth and the sun is dipping down as it's getting close to set, and your shadow, as the sun is sending its rays to you, but your shadow could be looming large. The shadows get bigger as the sun is setting. And there's a problem, or at least there's suffering, when we believe that because that shadow is big in this moment, this illusion truly of a shadow, that we believe that it is powerful or can somehow overwhelm us. And so they say that rather we can stand in our sovereignty of light, because they say shadow is the absence of light, and you are light. And the light that is shining upon you from the sun, even as it is becoming dimmer, it doesn't need to shine on you all the time because you are light. So as the shadow is present there, what we can do to be empowered is to notice it and, be curious and interested and kind of dazzled by the fact that this is something that occurs with light, and the absence of light is a shadow. And to remember that shadow can create mystery and then reveal a mystery, which is an exhilarating process, which is something that we love. If we were in a mystical forest and there was a shadow over here, and perhaps there is a gnome that's hiding in that shadow or resting in that shadow, or there's a shadow or a shaded area where mushrooms can grow. And this is all a part of life and cycles and the beauty of this creation. And so they said, if we can just kind of notice it, be dazzled by it, but then turn away from it because we want to continue to move forward. And they showed me the image as, zoomed way out, a person standing on the earth and then walking over it because the earth is round. If we, the land of the earth, walking over it in that arc. And they say, so the sun will set and you will be without the full illumination of that light. But that is a necessary process so that we can realize that we are light and we are safe to be without that full illumination. And in this metaphor, which is also just how life is, we have the reminder of the light by the moon. The moon has collected the sun's light and she glows to remind us of the light so that we don't forget. And in that moment, it's half of our life, in fact, that we're in this parenting process of life, of the sun shining on us and the sun going away. We remember that we're light. The moon is there to also help to counsel us and encourage us and to be brave and courageous. And then there's, in these cycles too, the new moon, which happens every 29 days, where the moon is also dark. And so then what do? We go inward even more to find the light, to be able to locate it. And so this happens, the smaller cycle of the shadow looming large as the sun sets, and then we continue to walk upon the earth, and we sleep now during the... Fortunately, we also remove ourselves, but we don't really, because we go into the astral. And as I said at the beginning of this chat, that dreams have been intense lately for a lot of people. I don't know if yours are. Mine have been. And so when the sun has set and we are examining the light that we are, and we're trusting and relating to our own light, and we do that in our dreams, we do that as we dance in the astral. And we do that every single diurnal cycle, every single 24. And then we have the 29 where the moon is there servicing us, and then she withdraws her light as well. And this is the parenting that we are given at all times. So is it necessary ever to be afraid of the shadow? I would say no. Is it necessary to always be looking at the shadow? It's a moment. We can be dazzled by it. We can wonder what is in the shadow. But honestly, if we turn and we move forward, anything that is meant to come with us on the journey will. It must. And that is the process that we're always in. So maybe this wasn't as short of an episode as I said it would be. It's a decent length. That's what I have for you. And just know that I really do deeply appreciate you creating a space for yourself to listen to a podcast, to seek spirit, to expand who it is that you are, because your light shining on our beautiful world is such a gift. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for shining your light on our beautiful world. And thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.